I mean, like I said earlier, I mean, we know everything they're trying to run.
How do you guys know everything they're trying to run? Because of her right here with her hand on her damn face. That's how y'all know everything they're trying to run, because she damn me cheated. She came in, she was a spy, and she leaked everything. She cheated. That's how y'all know. You wouldn't know shit if it wasn't for DeWanna Bonner.
The WNBA just witnessed one of the most embarrassing displays of veteran entitlement in years. A so-called seasoned pro thought she could bully Caitlin Clark, only to expose herself as nothing more than a jealous. Bitter has been desperately clinging to relevance.
I gotta admit, the end of the Fever Mercury game made me sit up for a second, because it got a little spicy with Caitlin Clark having an interaction with DeWanna Bonner out on the middle of the floor, sort of waving her back to the bench. I mean, the rest of the game was following a familiar script where the Fever fall behind and they fight back and they show the grit, but they lose to a team that has more talent than them at this point in time. But that interaction stood out to me for a couple of reasons. I mean, number one, obviously, is the history there, where DeWanna Bonner was on the Fever for a cup of coffee and then winds up on the Mercury. Before the season, Caitlin Clark said she wanted to win a ring for her.
This is the story of a player who walked away from greatness because she couldn't handle being part of something bigger than herself, only come crawling back, try to intimidate the very superstar who's dragging women's basketball out of irrelevance.
Pissed off, man. I'm pissed off. This is trash, bruh. DeWanna Bonner, who you think you is? Who you think you is trying to walk up on Caitlin Clark like that? Who you think you are? You ain't nothing but a scammer, a quitter, and a traitor. You got me twisted. I don't know who you think you are walking up on the GOAT talking crazy. You was just acting like a mentor to her when we brought you in. Us fans never even wanted your... Oh, my God, we never even wanted your...
If you're enjoying this, make sure to subscribe. When DeWanna Bonner signed with the Indiana Fever back in February, she thought she was stepping into another easy ride, a place to collect paychecks and coast through another forgettable season. Instead, she walked into a franchise completely transformed by Caitlin Clark. Suddenly the most watched, most competitive, and most scrutinized team in the entire WNBA.
But Caitlin Clark's obviously saying something to the referee, and DeWanna Bonner is saying challenge or something, because it wasn't being challenged. Basically, I'm guessing DeWanna Bonner is saying basically if it's not a foul, challenge call. And eventually Caitlin Clark midway brushes off DeWanna Bonner.
The writing was on the wall from the very start, but Bonner's ego wouldn't let her see it. She opened the season in the starting lineup, putting up a miserable 7.1 points per game on dreadful shooting numbers. That's not veteran leadership. That's veteran decline on full display.
We got DeWanna Bonner, who was complete trash. She was a complete bum while she was wearing the Indiana Fever jersey. This lady was shooting threes, hitting the side of the backboard. She was trash while she was in Indiana Fever. We had to pull strings and pull teeth to help her break a record. We had to do all types of stuff to help her break the record. And you got the nerve to try to talk crazy to Caitlin Clark? Who the hell you think you is? DeWanna Bonner? Wasn't nobody watching your games? Nobody even knew who you was. Nobody even knew you. Stop it.
So what did Coach Stephanie White do? She made the only sensible move a competent coach could. She benched Bonner for players who were actually committed to winning basketball. And how did our so-called veteran leader handle that perfectly reasonable decision? Like a spoiled child who just had her favorite toy taken away.
19 points for DB. Comes to the squad, leaves disrespectfully, and the last 2 times we've seen her, she's been rubbing our nose in it. Yes, I left you. What are you going to do about it? Not a damn thing, because your head coach is soft and weak and not a real coach. Your head coach quit on the Connecticut Sun, so I'm quitting on her. Sorry.
Instead of accepting the challenge, working harder, and earning her spot back, Bonner decided to take her ball and go home. She asked for a trade, claiming the fit just wasn't right. Basketball code for, I can't handle not being the center of attention. But here's where it gets truly pathetic. Bonner didn't just quietly request a move. She abandoned her team. 4 or 5 straight games. She was nowhere to be found, citing personal reasons while leaving her teammates hanging, all because she was sulking over a reduced role. Let's be honest. The only personal reason here is that her ego couldn't handle reality that she might not be good enough to start on a championship contender.
Man, I don't even care about you not playing in Indiana no more. It's just like the way you did this shit, man. You sat out, stopped coming to work, walked out of your $200K contract, all of this shit, stayed at home wherever the fuck you were because you weren't scissoring enough with Alyssa Thomas, man. And then to sit up here and grant her wish to go and scissor with her lover on another team, this would never happen in the NBA. This is why I have such a hard time respecting this women's basketball shit to the full degree, because no other league around the world in sports does shit like this happen.
This was never just about basketball. It was about character. And DeWanna Bonner's character proved paper thin the moment real adversity hit. She signed on to be a veteran leader for a young team. But the second that team started drawing the kind of attention and pressure that comes with a generational superstar, she folded like a cheap suit. She couldn't handle being part of a team that lives and breathes Caitlin Clark, because deep down, she wanted the spotlight for herself. The jealousy isn't subtle. It's almost painful to watch. Here's a player who spent an entire career in quiet obscurity, only to be thrust into the brightest spotlight in women's basketball, and she absolutely couldn't handle it.
DeWanna Bonner, you're a sore loser. You're obviously not a competitor. You were brought in as a vet and expected your tenure to be able to save your starting spot, even though you haven't been able to deliver, because you're not the same DeWanna Bonner you were fucking 5-6 years ago. You want to have a stank-ass, nasty attitude because the girls around you are better than you, younger than you, and are playing better? Take your piss-poor attitude on. The Indiana Fever locker room doesn't need that. You're not owed a spot in the WNBA on a roster because of your tenure. You're not owed a spot on the roster because you're one of the vets that laid the foundation. Veterans always want to talk about how they want to protect the league and how they want to set the league up and how they want to take care of it and leave it better for the next generation. Putting the best players on the floor.
Instead of embracing the chance to be part of something historic, she resented it. She hated that 17,274 fans weren't there to see her. They were there for Caitlin Clark. She hated that every sellout crowd wasn't celebrating her veteran presence. But a 22-year-old rookie who's already done more for women's basketball than Bonner ever will. And then came September 2nd, 2025, the night Bonner finally showed her true colors for the whole world to see. The Phoenix Mercury were hosting the Indiana Fever in what should have been just another regular season matchup. Bonner was actually having one of her best games in months, dropping 19 points, and somehow thought that gave her the right to start talking trash to the very player who made her team relevant in the first place.
Yeah, you're coming for the wrong one, ma'am. You need to be worried about those rusty knees of yours with that WD-40. You hear me? You need WD-40 in them knees. You're old, you was complaining about running up and down, running a fast-paced offense because you said it makes you tired. Okay, you almost 40. If you don't want to play up to your best and be great, I think you need to go find another team. You hear me? And clearly you did. You snaked your way out of the possibilities of probably winning another.
During a third-quarter timeout, after a foul call the Fever didn't agree with, Bonner decided to stroll over toward the Indiana bench and start running her mouth. She was signaling for a replay, posturing like some kind of authority figure. And that's when Caitlin Clark, who wasn't even playing because of injury, had enough of the disrespect. What happened next was perfect. Clark, dressed in black sweats, nursing a groin injury, stood up and told Bonner exactly where to go. It's not a foul. Clark barked, waving her off, repeating it with the kind of calm authority only a superstar carries. The audacity of Bonner thinking she can intimidate Caitlin Clark is mind-blowing. Here's a 37-year-old veteran who literally quit on the same team months earlier, now trying to act tough because she finally had one decent game. The same player who couldn't handle the pressure of a championship contender was now trying to bully the very superstar who created that pressure in the first place.
One of the only entertaining parts about this game, though, was when a timeout was called, and then DeWanna Bonner and Caitlin Clark had some words. It was right after a foul was called, and I believe it actually was a foul. Either way, Caitlin Clark went out there defending her teammates, shooing off DeWanna Bonner when DeWanna Bonner was finger twirling.
Then you see Caitlin Clark to the right behind the coach coming out and jawing at DeWanna Bonner. DeWanna Bonner says, yeah, it was a foul. And Clark is saying, no foul. Yes, it was a foul.
But again, props to Kelsey Mitchell for coming away with 29 points, not letting this.
But Clark wasn't having it. With one slick wave of her hand, she dismissed Bonner like she was swatting away a mosquito, telling her, without a single wasted word, to get back to her side of court and mind her own business. The gesture was flawless, dismissive, confident, completely justified. Bonner had to be escorted back to her bench by her own teammates, looking absolutely ridiculous in the process. And here's what makes it even sadder. Bonner seems to think that just because she's a more experienced player, she can scream at Caitlin Clark and get away with it. Not a chance. Experience doesn't give you a license to disrespect, especially when that experience includes abandoning your team the moment things got hard. Fans are done with it. They're calling on the WNBA to step in. But let's be real, Bonner only felt brave because Caitlin wasn't even playing. The Mercury squeaked out an 85-79 win, and suddenly Bonner thinks that one hollow victory gives her the right to mock the very player who would have buried her team if she'd been healthy.
Clark, yeah, man, Caitlin Clark told her, beat it, bum. Beat it. Beat it. You trash. You a quitter. And you a thief. You stole money from the Indiana Fever. You a thief in the night, DeWanna Bonner. You got some nerve trying to talk crazy to Caitlin Clark. She the only reason half the people even know you. Nobody knew you throughout your career. Wasn't nobody watching your games. I ain't never seen nobody in a DeWanna Bonner show. Nobody knew you, man. You got it.
Everyone knows if Clark had been on the floor, this game would have looked completely different. Without their superstar, the Fever have stumbled to 21-20, slipping to 8th in the standings. But when Clark is healthy, this team is a whole different animal, competitive, electric. Everything Dana Bonner could never be. Bonner should be grateful Clark was sidelined, because if the rookie phenom had been out there, Bonner would have been reminded all over again why she wasn't good enough to stay in Indiana in the first place. Instead, she gets to puff her chest against a depleted Fever squad while their best players sit helpless on the bench. The contrast between these two players couldn't be clearer. On one side, Dana Bonner, a bitter veteran who quit on her team the moment things got tough, who can't stand not being the center of attention, now trying to cover her own failures by taking shots at the very player who exposed every one of her limitations.
Bonner won on this. Caitlin can't talk from the bench. When you quit on a team like DeWanna Bonner did, anyone can talk. Anyone can talk no matter what. When you quit like DeWanna Bonner did, everyone has the right to talk. I mean that. Everyone has the right to talk when you quit like DeWanna Bonner did on the Fever. Absolutely. Absolutely. Anyone has the right to talk. You don't just quit on a team on a personal level. It isn't basketball. Doing what DeWanna Bonner did and not even texting the team when she did it, that's not basketball anymore.
The fans see right through Bonner's act. They remember how she bailed on Indiana after just 9 games, hiding behind the excuse that the fit didn't work, when everyone knows she simply couldn't handle the pressure. They remember how she disappeared for 5 straight games with vague personal reasons while still cashing checks. They remember how she forced her way out because she couldn't stomach Caitlin Clark's rise to stardom. And now she's back, trying to intimidate the very player who made the WNBA relevant for the first time in decades. The same player who sells out arenas, shatters TV ratings, and brings millions of new eyes to women's basketball. The level of delusion is staggering. Bonner really believes that dropping 19 points, her best showing in months, somehow earns her the right to talk down to a generational superstar. Meanwhile, her own resume over the past year has earned her nothing but contempt, thanks to her selfish decisions and unprofessional conduct.
She felt like she couldn't fit with the rotations of the team. she's upset that Lexi Hall took her spot. That's the truth. Little blonde girl from next door took her spot. That's what it was. Well, Lexi Hall is a good basketball player. I think she earned that spot, in my opinion, and she's shooting very well from the three. She's an excellent three-point shooter this season. She's a sniper this season. And she hustles. She gets rebounds. She gets steals. She puts her heart out.
The fact that Clark stood up to Bonner while sitting on the bench with an injury says everything you need to know about the difference in character between these two players. Even hurt, unable to step on the floor, Clark refused to be intimidated by a washed-up veteran trying to bully her way back into relevance. This whole incident exposes a toxic culture that still lingers in parts of the WNBA. Veterans more interested in tearing down rising stars than celebrating the growth they bring to the league. Bonner represents everything wrong with that old guard mentality. Clark represents everything right about the future of women's basketball. Fans are fed up. They're demanding consequences for Bonner's behavior. They're tired of watching veteran talent squander its final years on petty jealousy instead of helping grow the sport. They want the WNBA to send a message. This kind of unprofessional conduct won't be tolerated. Because the truth is, from the moment Bonner realized she wasn't going to be the center of attention in Indiana, she's been trying to undermine the very team and the very player that gave her a chance to be part of something special.